Mansor's Italian Deli is located on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, right next to Rain Dancers.
Is that a strip club?
No, it's a steakhouse. Mansor's is open weekdays from 8 to 5 and offers free delivery. So stop by or call 697-9411. That's 697-9411.
We also specialize in hot and cold catering for corporate functions and special events.
Just ask anyone who was at my last birthday party.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime, forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches, only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
Thank you for calling the ESPN 1063 fan poll. Today's question: would you like Theoretically Speaking to be an hour longer every day? Press 1 for yes or 2 for no. You pressed 1. Tune in for 2 hours of Theoretically Speaking, weekdays at 2 on ESPN 1063. Goodbye.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Collins!
Now the football's up and away, out of the horizon. Rear view mirror for the NFL. There's nothing going on there. Now it's turning to basketball season. On the college side of things, you got Dan Hurley screaming at the Creighton students on his way off the court, telling them, I got 2 rings. On the NBA side of things, you got Kevin Durant, who reached the 30,000-point mark this week to be the 8th player in the history of the National Basketball Association to accomplish such a feat, a polarizing career. There, it's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063 with Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. As always, it is a Wednesday edition, a midweek edition. We were at the Delray Beach Open yesterday. We're back in the studio today, streaming on YouTube at ESPN West Palm, Facebook, Twitter/X, and YouTube. Mike, how you doing today? You good?
I'm good, partner. Yeah, I had we did my dad's show in this studio earlier today, and it's been a productive day. I'm ready to roll.
One thing I wanted to bring up quick, because we were talking about this earlier in the show. NBA, the perspective of the MVP is very curious. Because one name that's brought up over the past day is Kevin Durant, somebody who only has 1 MVP, but somebody who's probably, in the realm of his career, been the best player at his position in the league for more than 1 year throughout his life. Similarly to how the MVP works in the NFL, where it's a little bit more situational, basketball, yeah, there's voter fatigue here and there, but they usually give it to the most important player on the most important team. And it changes here and there, but I wanted to start here. Durant, a polarizing career, 30,000 points in his career. Where does he, or where will he, rank amongst the all-time greats towards the end of his career? He's 36, off an Achilles tear. Probably has a couple years left in his career max before he hangs it up. 7-footer, shoots all over the floor, an elite athlete, but the accolades aren't there. He's an eye test. Not as accomplished as some of the counterparts in the National Basketball Association. To you, where would you throw him?
Easily top 20, I think. I think he's a top 20 player. I don't know if I could go top 15, though, because my problem is, where do we rank those championships in Golden State? They're championships, and he was the best player on the team. But if we're just counting those 2 championships and the MVP, there are a lot of guys who I think that are in the league right now, a la, the Joker who you brought up, who's probably going to have a better career when it's all said and done. I think top 20, maybe top 15. I can't go top 10, though. Would you agree he is not a top 10 player all time?
He's probably going to be a top 20 for sure. The way I view it is Curry better than him?
I think so.
Curry's had a better career. He's a more accomplished player. He's a more significant player. Durant's probably better at his peak, at his apex. There's a lot of players that were probably better at their apex, but it's about longevity, it's about accolades, it's about accomplishments, it's about legacy. Curry stayed with the whole team stayed with one team his whole career, which basically nobody can say nowadays. And he 2-time MVP, 4-time champion.
Right.
4-time? Yeah, 4-time champion. And an elite perimeter player, probably the best point guard close to it to ever play basketball. He's probably teetering in that top 10 range. And then Durant is probably a couple steps behind him, despite the fact that Durant was a better player on those prior teams.
There are a ton of players who have a lot of points who you don't necessarily think are the best players of all time, like Karl Malone. Never won a champ.
Durant's a better player than Karl Malone.
Okay, and then another one for you, Colin, because Malone's 3 on that scoring list, and then Dirk Nowitzki, number 6, with 31,000 points. Now we'll see how long Durant does it for. Maybe he could pass Dirk. But everyone remembers Dirk for that run and beating that big 3 Miami Heat team. And
he beat the Spurs. He beat the Lakers that run.
Right. So I think it's how do we measure greatness? How do we measure greatness? Are you measuring greatness with the teams they won on, how important they were for the teams that they won with?
How do you measure it?
I probably it's a dose of both. I think it's a dose of both and dominance, right? Were you the most dominant player? How long were you the most dominant player? So I think MVPs have a lot to do with it. And the Joker, and I know we're going to get into that argument later, the Joker who a lot of people think is well on his way to his 4th MVP. There's something to be said about the Joker maybe being a top 10 player all time if he could get a couple more NBA championships. So I think it's a steady dose of both. And with as long as you have one, Colin, I think as long as you have one NBA championship and you have a lot of accolades,
the door
like
opens
MVPs
up to you legacy-wise.
It
door
does.
Opens up.
It totally does. And how many MVPs does Giannis have? I'm
2.
bad with this. So
He's 2.
There you go. I mean, Giannis 2 MVPs. And a championship. Where's Giannis going to rank? So I think this is always a fascinating topic, and I think Kevin Durant is an interesting case study here because of how great he was during his time. The problem was he was playing with Kobe in his prime at times, and LeBron in his prime at times.
Durant's biggest problem is almost his disgruntledness and his stubbornness to not deal with adversity is the namesake of his career.
Well, and a lot of people, including myself, and Colin, I'm very homer with this take. I didn't like him going to Golden State.
That's not a homer take. That's a general. Perfect. That's everybody else.
And okay, usually I get you're a Riz, you're a Cavalier fan. So with that taken care of, I did not like him going to Golden State because let's not forget Durant and those Thunder that lost to them in 2016. They were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals and completely blew that series. And instead of reloading it back with Russell Westbrook and maybe grabbing some help in free agency, he goes to Golden State. Did not like that move at all.
Well, it's somebody who's categorized as, even in Brooklyn, the first time adversity started to strike in Brooklyn, he got out. He was out. Goodbye. And now all of a sudden, things are not working out in Phoenix, and he might be shipped off. It has now been, according to Brian Windhurst, at least of ESPN, it is all but a formality that he will probably be shipped out. He was supposed to be shipped out at the trade deadline. He will likely be shipped out of Phoenix in the offseason. So now you have Kevin Durant, who is going to be traded for, what is this, the 3rd time in his career?
Mm-hmm.
I know that Warriors thing was a sign-in trade, but the 3rd time in his career, how many top 10 players get traded 3 times in their career? How many? There's not many. No. Wilt? You want to count that? Fine. Kareem? Traded once. But, I mean, at this point, his career is the legacy side of it. He's an all-time great player. He does not have an all-time great career. 888-760-3776. And there's the argument that in terms of what he does, he's unrivaled. He's a 7-footer who is a perimeter elite scorer. He can shoot from anywhere on the court. At his best, he's actually a very underrated defender. when he's there, and he is a plug and play. You could put him in any system, and he will be effective.
Mm-hmm.
He is somebody who does not necessarily need the ball a whole lot. He's efficient. Durant, eye test, is as talented as they come. Basketball's not measured by just that. Tracy McGrady would be a much better player if that was the case in the grand scheme of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, his career is about dodging adversity.
I got an interesting one for you. So we're talking about Kevin Durant and where he ranks among the all-time NBA greats. Would you put someone like the big ticket Kevin Garnett over Kevin Durant?
Not even a little bit, no.
You wouldn't consider
Garnett's
the big ticket?
not a top 20 player of all time.
He was dominant, though.
He was not a top 20 player of all time. Maybe. But I mean,
he's definitely in the 15 range.
Garnett?
Probably.
I can tell you 15 players right now that are better than Kevin Garnett. Was Kevin Garnett even the best player other than that 2004 season?
He was. I think in the year they won the championship, he was arguably the best player in the league. The 2007 year on that Big Three team, I think you could argue.
Is Karl Malone better than Kevin Garnett?
Ugh.
Yes, he is.
Is
Karl Malone a top 15 player of all time? No. All right, so Garnett, if we're thinking about power forwards, is Nowitzki better than him?
That's a tough one too, Colin.
Nowitzki is better than Kevin Garnett, dude.
I think there's conversations for it. That's all I'm saying.
Nowitzki is a better player than Kevin Garnett was.
I think there are a lot of lists out there that would have Kevin Garnett a top 15 player.
It was close, but Kevin Garnett and Nowitzki.
Listen, partner, I understand that you don't think
Nowitzki's
so.
might be one of the most underrated players and one of the most storied careers in that franchise's history. And in terms of a ring, as impressive of a playoff ring as it comes.
I think Dirk definitely would be top 20, no doubt. He's definitely a top 20 player.
Is he better than Durant? Is Garnett?
I would probably put Kevin Garnett over Durant.
Why?
I think his time with the Timberwolves, in his era, he ran into a lot of tough Laker teams. And I thought he got swindled out of a couple of MVPs in those early on years because of how dominant the Lakers were as a team.
Which one? The Nash stole the one that Kobe should have got when he averaged 36 a game. And Nash, the other year, they had the third most efficient offense in the history of the National Basketball Association to that point. So who are you going to give it? Who is he taking over? Duncan?
I think the rings conversation, the one ring is where Garnett and the lack of the MVP is probably where Garnett loses it. But that time, that weird time where Shaq and Kobe were playing together and then Shaq gets traded, I think Garnett was the best player in the league for about 3 or 4 years, especially early on in LeBron's career when he was a rookie and a second and third year player. I think Garnett was probably the best player.
Dirk is a 12-time All-NBA player. Garnett is a 9-time All-NBA player. Now, Garnett is a much better defender than Dirk was, but Dirk is a better offensive player. Dirk's had a more storied career. He's had probably a more successful career because he won with a team that drafted him.
I will give you this. Duncan definitely outclasses him and definitely
in every facet. Duncan's a top 10 player of all time.
He kind of lived in that shadow of Duncan, no doubt. But he was a 12-time all-defensive player as well. As you mentioned, he was a great defensive player. So
I could probably name right now 6 centers that are better than Garnett all time.
Hakeem, Bill, Wilt,
Shaq, Russell, Shaquille, Kareem. Those are 5 right there. People don't want to say it. Moses Malone won 3 straight MVPs. Won a championship too. There's another one there. Karl Malone, where are you putting him? And then you got to go with the guards. And then all of a sudden the Steph Currys come into play. The Magic Johnsons come into play. You're not even bringing up the small forwards. Is Durant a better player than Garnett was?
I think it's closer than you think. I do. I think it's closer. I personally would put the big ticket over Durant.
If you're drafting a team right now, you're taking Garnett over Kevin Durant.
Not in this current NBA, but back in when Garnett was playing and back in the time. And how
you're draft, you need to win a championship. Who are you taking? You don't have to make it complicated.
I am going to make it complicated because I think that's a conversation. All
right, then make the conversation.
If it was the early 2000s when Garnett played and how the game was played, I'm taking Garnett because he had that post move, the back down, the fadeaway, the mid-range jumper, the rebounding, the defending. He was tough. I'd probably take Garnett when he played. Now, when Durant played, you're taking Durant because you're shooting 23s a game.
So, in terms of playing, you're taking a player that can score at all 3 levels. He's a 30-point-per-game player, and he's a very good postseason player, too.
We have to measure, I think, when these guys played. Because if we want to play that game, we could go back to Wilt and Bill Russell and have a lot of crazy talks about
that. That's fine. I mean, they played against each other. You're acting like it's 3 eras apart. They played against each other. Durant's been great for 12 years. Garnett did not have that long of a prime, comparatively. Garnett was great for, in 8 years?
When he went to the Nets, it all unfolded. So what was that, 2012, 2013? For a 12-year period, Garnett was unbelievable.
He wasn't even the best player on that finals team. He wasn't even the best player.
On the Celtics team?
Who won the MVP? Paul Pierce won that MVP.
You think Paul Pierce was better than Garnett on that team?
Hold on.
I totally disagree, man.
He won the finals MVP.
So, dude, that's
what? That is what?
I do not agree, dude. Kevin Durant. I'm getting my Kevins mixed up. Garnett was the best player on that team.
Pierce, I think, underrated. And he was the best player in that playoff run, and best player on that playoff team.
I think Garnett was the best. We could agree to disagree there.
I think
KG.
What about the voters, Mike?
KG was the best player on that team.
But everybody else was wrong who voted for him to get Finals MVP.
I want to say it's one series. I understand it's the finals. It's very important.
It's the biggest series of his life.
It's one series, and KG wasn't a plumber in that series by any means either. I think they don't win without all three of them. Even how bad Ray Allen played, and I think we could agree on that. Allen was kind of like the one finding his way during that big three, maybe the odd man out on that. But I think if you take one of them off, they'd struggle more with KG not in that lineup than Paul Pierce. They don't win with all three. I understand that. But I think KG was more important, that team, and the best player on that team. Defensively, his dominance down low.
100%.
His dominance,
their closer, their closer was Pierce.
It's hard to be a closer when you're big. I agree with that. And even if you look back at those Spurs teams, Duncan wasn't the closer. It was Parker and Ginobili.
I mean, was it? I mean, Parker was great in 07.
Ginobili and Parker would take the shots. And it
was Duncan who was the rock of that team. You can't say the same about Garnett because you can't measure those careers in comparison.
I think there is a pity vote. Not a pity vote.
Oh, Mike, you have no idea what you're talking about. A pity vote back in 2008,
There is a pity vote because Paul Pierce was the guy who was he was a Boston Celtic.
You're just
he
making
was
this
around.
up as you go.
I'm not making it up as I go.
How do you know it's a pity vote? Were you there in the room when they decided to vote on that?
I just think there's something to be said about how Pierce was the one who was with the organization the longest. He didn't leave. He had chances to leave. He didn't leave. He stuck it out, and the two of the best players at the time came there. I don't know. We'd have to go back and look at the numbers in these finals, but Garnett was unbelievable as well.
He was good. He averaged 18 and 13.
But Colin, I don't think it's crazy for me to say that Garnett was the best player.
Hold on. We're talking about top 15 player of all time, allegedly. I mean, let's think about this. So the 5 or 6 centers right there. Done. You got LeBron. You got Jordan. You got Magic. You got Bird.
Where's Kobe?
Kobe's in there.
I'd put Kobe. I'd probably put Kobe 3 or 4 in that list.
Kobe's probably 12.
Wow, dude. We're completely off on that. We both agree, Michael. And I'd put LeBron, but I'll give us on our list Michael and then LeBron.
Kareem's the third best player of all time.
Okay, I'll hear that. I'd probably put Kobe 4 then. I think Kobe's the most recognizable Laker of all time, in my opinion. And I think with the 5 championships and with how many MVP, maybe lacking in the MVPs. Lacking in the MVPs because he was just a scorer. I understand that. But I'd probably put Kobe 4. Maybe that's a little personal bias. Keep going on.
Definitely personal. He wasn't even the best player on 3 of those teams.
On the Shaq teams, they don't win without him either. And he was the best player. If we want to do Kobe has finals MVPs with Shaq, right?
No.
Never.
Shaq won all 3.
All 3. Okay.
Yes. Shaq was he was a 34 and 20 player, and Kobe was like flirting with the 18 to 20 range. He started to get much, much better, and they ended up taking Kobe's side. That's when they shipped him out.
Very important on those runs. Keep going.
So LeBron, Jordan, and then you got the 5 centers. So that's Chamberlain, Russell, Kareem, Olajuwon, and O'Neal.
Okay, so you'd put all those bigs over a guy like Steph. Would you put Steph?
I'm not saying Curry's right in the thick of that. Olajuwon's a 2-time champion, and he won 2 MVPs, I believe. So, and Olajuwon dominated Shaquille O'Neal, swept him in 4 games in '95. So, Olajuwon...
Young Shaq, I will say. Young Shaq.
Fine. It was the only good center Shaq ever played in the playoffs of his life. But Olajuwon, O'Neal, Chamberlain... So, we're looking at 10 already. And Bird is on there. Bird's a better player than Garnett. Bird's a better player... I mean, it's different players than
Larry.
Durant.
I'm not arguing.
Won 3 straight MVPs, was better than Magic at the peak of his career, had a slew of all-time great playoff runs, was the best player on that 86 playoff team, which is a top 5 NBA team of all time.
I think I'd put Larry somewhere between the 7 and 8 range. Would you agree?
I'm not putting Kobe at 4. I'm not doing that. There's a bit of revisionist history about how good Kobe was. How good was Kobe in Game 7 against the Celtics? You should look up the stats in that game. He was awful. Awful. I'll look at that in the break. But Kobe had a wonderful career. But very rarely was Kobe the best player in the league at a certain time. Very rarely. In the 04, 05, 06 period, that was when Nowitzki was getting an MVP. That's when Nash was getting an MVP. Garnett somewhere around there. Duncan.
I hear you on Kobe.
Speaking of Duncan, on that list. So we're looking at LeBron, Jordan, Kareem, Wilt, Bill Russell, Steph Curry, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Olajuwon O'Neal, Magic Johnson. So we're already in the 10 or 11 range.
What about Big O?
Oscar Robertson. Probably thrown in there, absolutely.
Big O's definitely 15.
Jerry West is probably somewhere in there. Oscar Robertson is somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Moses Malone is probably somewhere in there. People want to say before, look up that 83 76er team. 83, they went 15-1 in the postseason. They went 67-15, and they went 7-9 in their last, I think it was 16 games because they already clinched the 1 seed.
About the Admiral.
No. Not top 20. No. One MVP, though. And then all of a sudden, now you're getting to the range where you're looking at the other point guards. Where do you put Nash? Where do you put Kidd? Where do you put Stockton? Where do you put Cousy? If you want to actually get the history in there.
D. Wade?
Not top 20. Now, Wade was great. He didn't have that long of a peak.
I think I'm with you. Wade probably top 25-ish.
Scottie Pippen's probably flirting in the top 30 range. There's I
have another.
Julius Erving. Where do you put him?
Yeah. Let me go through a list that I have here from Complex. Complex made a list. It's Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Shaq, Bird, Wilt, Duncan, and Steph. That's their top 10.
I mean, Bird's an undervalued player in his career because Bird was better than Magic at both their peaks.
And then, believe it or not, they have Durant at 11. I completely disagree.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to have a different.
method
than this. And I didn't watch these players, but I've watched a lot of these games. These games are all available on YouTube. You can go watch these. Go watch 1984, Game 5 in the Garden. Watch Bird at 34-15 and 5 when the AC was out against the Magic Johnson Lakers.
Where, Karl Malone, to your point, Malone was unbelievable. But where do you put him because of that lack of championship? Where do you?
No, he won in '83. Moses Malone?
No, Karl. Sorry, Karl. Because they have Karl in the top 20 as well, and it's hard to not
another
put
guy
a player.
Who's another undervalued player is Stockton. Both those guys were at the mercy of how Michael Jordan handled his career.
And I could even argue someone had to win when Michael wasn't playing, and it was Hakeem. You know what I mean? What would have happened if Michael was playing still then? You never know, but that was the team, Colin, that was able to overcome.
And those Rocket teams were great.
And I'm not.
They beat the Knicks in 7.
I'm not.
And then they killed the Magic with O'Neal. He killed Ewing.
Yeah, I'm not trying to unjustify that championship. Someone had to win those championships with Michael out, and fair play to the Rockets. They were able to do it.
West is somewhere on there. Only player in NBA history to win Finals MVP on a losing team. Mm-hmm. He's definitely somewhere on there. So now we're at the 12 or 13 range, and I don't think Kevin Garnett's coming up anytime soon. For me, at least. I'd put Nowitzki above him. I think Nowitzki had a more accomplished, impressive career, had a longer career. That's just my take. And listen, these guys were a little past my prime, a little past my heyday growing up.
Where's Steph?
Curry is probably, I would say he's at the 7 or 8 range.
Okay.
That's where I'd put him.
Okay. All right. I didn't remember if he was on the list. I apologize.
Yeah, he's on there. Then Durant's going to be on there eventually, probably once you get to that 13, 14, 15 range for me.
Okay.
In terms of actual who he is and how good he is, I'd put Kobe around where the Durant age is too. Kobe had an accomplished career. He's a very influential player. But in terms of being great, Kobe was a
He was the best player in the league for a while.
He was a budget Michael Jordan. That's who he is. That was Kobe's career.
It's a good budget to be, though, Kyle.
Sure. He's a budget Michael Jordan.
9-time defensive
great defensive player.
18-time All-Star.
Was not great in an elimination game.
2-time Finals MVP. 5-time champion.
Was not great in an elimination game. Dude. Look up Game 7, Mike.
All right.
You're just laughing about this. You're not giving me anything.
But it's just, dude. I understand. That's
he
one
was
reference.
He was not the best player on those 3 championship teams, and he won 1 MVP. Probably should have won 2. The second year that Nash won, I believe Kobe averaged like 36. So that was probably the second year that Kobe should have won MVP. But in terms of the all-time greats, I think you're placing Durant around the 14. I'm probably starting to get to Garnett around 20. That's just, maybe. That's where I'm at. We'll take a time out here. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast, professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime, forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams: Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches, only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Attention, South Florida! The PGA Tour champions and the Pro Football Hall of Fame are teaming up for a one-of-a-kind event, the James Hardy Pro Football Hall of Fame Invitational. From March 31st to April 6th, the action takes over the old course at Broken Sound in Boca Raton, featuring Hall of Fame legends like Warren Sapp, Calvin Johnson, Andre Reed, Rondé Barber, Chris Carter, and more. Tickets are on sale now at JamesHardyInvitational.com. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the home of legends.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Rolling on here, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Live in studio on YouTube, streaming at ESPN West Palm. We got a new segment today. I'm looking forward to this. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, as always, from the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. With Kaiser University. Kaiser University, of course, the local NAIA, great sports program. They basically win in everything. And the guy who spearheads that is Mr. Swagger. And Swagger's joining us now, Eric Swagger, the AD of Kaiser University Athletics. Mr. Swagger, we're going to do a little Ask the AD because now we got somebody who knows a little bit about sports, and you've been around sports, and you have almost a different perspective than everybody, don't you?
I do. It's actually Chris Swagger joining you guys today.
Chris
I don't know who
Swagger.
Eric Swagger is, but that's okay.
My fault, Chris. My fault.
No,
But
you're fine.
But you are a sports guy from a different perspective.
Yes,
because
correct.
you are an administrator.
Yes.
You view sports from the business side. Do you view how does it a AD view the sports? Is it a business to you? Is it a managing a general manager of sports team? How do you view it, Chris?
I mean, obviously with college athletics, it's a little different than pro. So, I mean, you obviously have the overall mission, which is, you have impressionable 18 to 20-something-year-old kids. So you're really trying to also help them to make right decisions and guide them into whatever they're going to do in their careers. But then on the flip side of that, as far as the actual sports side of it, yeah, I mean, you're managing budgets. You got scholarships. You got budgets to deal with. You're obviously trying to compete. Similar to any other association, you have rules that you need to work within, and there's always gray areas as far as trying to figure out different angles. Kind of like a salary cap with a professional team. So, I mean, with us, I view it a little bit differently. If you're looking at the end goal of winning a championship, then you're evaluating everything off of that. So a lot of your decisions are going to be driven by, are we closer, are we farther away, right? I mean, kind of like recent moves with the Lakers and the Heat and stuff like that. I mean, I think
well, you're a Heat guy.
I am a Heat guy, yes.
And
I like the move.
You like the move?
I do.
Because you got him out of town, or because you thought you got to get something out of it?
So I look at it, and not necessarily because of let's take the off the court, I don't want to play. Let's just say he's not playing for health reasons or whatever. So Wiggins over no one playing is a better move, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting more production.
And he honestly fits the bill a little bit. Defensive, perimeter, like he's lengthy. He's kind of a no-nonsense guy.
Yeah, and you're freeing, I mean, at the end of the day.
You're freeing up money.
Yeah, I think a lot of, again, in my position, I look a little differently with scholarships. We're probably pretty similar to the NBA. You need to pay the player for what they're going to be, not what they were. So in Jimmy's case, he's up for a max contract. Are you giving him money based off what he did or what he's going to get you over the next 3 to 4 years?
It's a little different from a professional sense comparatively to college. College, you're banking on potential because you're banking on them continuing. They haven't seen the peak yet.
Correct.
So you almost have to take it from a different level here because it's almost like he earned it with what he has done because what he's done with the Heat. You don't see it that way? Took him to 2 finals.
Look, if I'm building a team, I'm looking at if I have to give someone a large contract, what are they going to get me over the next 3 to 5 years? And you look at a lot of teams that would overpay for somebody.
2 years in his sense. He did sign a 2-year extension.
2-year deal. But if I can free up cap space to go after, Edwards or Gilliam from OKC down the road.
And Chris,
that's a better deal.
Chris, here's my question. Now, you as a Miami Heat fan, what's the next move here? You think that's the next move to go get perennial stars aren't just on the market. You're going to have to give up something very lucrative first-round picks. Personally, you mentioned Anthony Edwards. I don't think there's anything on the Heat roster that the Timberwolves would trade Anthony Edwards for right now.
Unless Anthony Edwards wants out of Minnesota.
Right. But I don't see.
Yeah.
We're banking on players wanting out. I understand that's not.
No. I'm just using an example of
sure.
Obviously, if you free up cap space,
okay,
and you acquire more assets, which they did.
Okay,
you're allowing yourself the opportunity to go get a difference maker player with an upside potential.
Yep.
Versus maybe having someone who isn't going to play. Let's be honest, he's not going to play a large amount of the season. No. So as you're trying to get seeding, you don't know when he's going to play. You've got to probably sign players to make up for him. So you're wasting cap space there. So I mean, I like the move. I don't think Wiggins obviously is Jimmy Butler right now, but he's a good piece.
You're almost just trying to you're scavenging at that point because Butler's value was not as great as it probably could have been because of how he handled that. Now, if Butler gets his jersey retired, are you having a problem with that?
I don't see.
You don't see it?
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, I'm trying to think who they have retired right now.
Wade. Is O'Neal retired there? I don't think so. Wasn't there long enough.
LeBron's not retired there.
He will be.
He will.
I think they're probably going to wait to the end of his career. Is Alonzo Mourning retired?
I I believe it's Alonzo Wade.
Well, let me tell you, if
Jordan's got a jersey in the rafters up there.
Let me tell you this: if Alonzo Mourning is in the rafters, LeBron James is going to be in the rafters. Now, Chris, where I want to go with you as a Heat fan, how do you get out of the mediocrity? Right? There's mediocrity right now. I understand you're a couple years separated from going to an NBA championship, and a lot of that was the guy who just got traded, Jimmy Butler. How do you get back to the top of the top in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I think it's what they did. I mean, I think if you're viewing the team as, are we winning a championship this year or not winning a championship, every move you make is to give yourself the ability to do that.
Okay.
So if you're evaluating the team and you're saying, hey, with Jimmy Butler here, we're not any closer. Like we're not gonna get there. So then obviously you try to, and if you feel good about your young talent, you don't want to move them. So I think ultimately the move was probably to get rid of him regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I just think based off how he handled it, it happened a lot faster than probably people expected. It's the same, I think, with the Luka deal is probably the same thing too. I mean, I think they're probably looking at long term. If I'm not signing someone, we're going to lose them. Do we acquire assets? Like, what do we do?
Yep.
So
Chris Swager, the athletic director of Kaiser University right here in downtown West Palm Beach, joining us now on Russo and Rizzo. Chris, I want to get your thoughts on something. We were talking about this yesterday, and we were at the Delray Beach Open just south of here at the tennis event. And it was an interesting conversation we were talking about because this is something that you deal with consistently is the next step of going to pros, getting to the highest level in athletics. I was on the team that tennis is, if not the first, up there in terms of one of the harder sports to not only for the average person to get a grasp in, but also for somebody to go professional in and be successful, make a living at it.
Right.
It was that. Golf came up in that. In terms of the basketball's really tough in terms of getting to the highest level because of just the small amount of players that are playing in the NBA. From your perspective, for the average person to pick up and become great at it, you could always bring up the Olympic sports too, I'm sure. What one pops to mind for you in terms of the hardest to grasp, or it could be two different answers, the hardest to go professional in?
So I just had this conversation with someone. I'm going to throw a curveball out at you just because it came up the other day and I never thought of it, but one of the hardest sports to play, someone mentioned water polo to me, which I didn't think of.
And that's a select group of people.
Because I was actually at our conference championship last week.
For Kaiser.
For Kaiser. Our men and women both won their third straight conference, and they're getting ready for nationals to try to win their fourth and sixth.
That's a brutal sport, by the way.
It is. Well, I'm sitting there next to the pool, and I'm staring down, and, it's like 9 foot, 6 inches. And so I was asking someone, because I always assumed, water polo was shorter, but that you literally tread water the whole time. So
and they're like wrestling in the water.
You can tackle people. If you have the ball, totally. I can tackle you.
Totally.
So I'm like, I can pull you. He's like, yeah, I can.
People pull you down.
You can you can drown people.
Chris, the amount of stamina you need.
I always thought that was tough. Hockey, I always thought was from a stamina standpoint, but I would say.
But in terms of, it's also like
I think golf.
It's a selectivity thing with the amount of money you could get to be successful, to where you're considered I'm a successful professional.
Yes, I think golf is tough in the sense that your margin for error. I mean, you see guys that, just fall off a cliff, a small injury, and all of a sudden their club face is open a little more, and they can't. It's
like
hit
a mental thing too.
Right. I would say tennis probably. Because the stamina, the skill, and your age, like. Golf, you can play longer. In tennis, your window is small.
And the exclusivity is huge. There's only so many great players. There's only so many great tournaments. And those tournaments are usually dominated by a select few tennis players that are above the rest.
And you got to start at a certain age. I mean, if you're not...
It's a specialist sport.
Yeah, if you're not getting into it early, the chances of you picking it, I think, you see... NBA guys or NFL switch sports sometimes late randomly, but Jimmy Graham,
baseball and football has a turnaround.
Joel Embiid didn't start playing basketball; he was like 14 years old.
That's a God-given athleticism thing.
Right.
Yeah. If you're 7'1", it helps.
Yeah, 7'1", and built
he had
and
a growth
athletic,
spurt, and that was the end all be all.
But the way I was viewing it was tennis is fascinating because it's a specialist sport, like I said. But if you're not in an academy, if you're not at the right school, with the right coach, with the money allotted and invested to go into juniors and then eventually the next level, and then you're traveling all over the world in qualifiers just to qualify, and then all of a sudden you play the guy who has won 20 Grand Slams, who loses 2 sets a year, and then you got to get through to them too. It's an impossible sport to make a living because there's not a ton of money in tennis too. And I think just from a perspective, it's a niche sport, probably not as popular as something like golf. But I was thinking, like, in terms of grasping, picking up, becoming professional I think it's very underrated in the grand scope of sports.
I also think any individual sports can be more challenging. In a team sport, you can have a specialty. I mean, if you think of, whether it be a long snapper in football or, you're a three-point specialist in basketball. In individual sports, you're out there on your own. One injury can derail your career. And the mental side of it. I mean, everything lands on you. You make a mistake and, no one's coming to help you out as far as your teammates on the court or even after. So, yeah, I would say any individual sports, it's lonely. I mean, you're practicing on your own. Our tennis programs are very high level. We're hoping to win national championships in those as well this year. We just won the indoor on the women's side, and I mean the thing that is usually different for those kids, especially internationally, is they, in college it's a team sport versus individual. So making that adjustment from just winning your own match to actually, you
As a
win
team.
4 points. Yeah, you get your doubles, you get one, and then individual. But just making that transition is difficult from a mental standpoint on how you play.
I'm curious here, Chris Swager, the athletic director of a NAIA school right here that's so successful in basically every sport. What's the hardest one, do you think, to get great at a collegiate level?
What do you define that? Do you mean like win a championship or?
To that level of competing for championships where all the chips need to fall in the right position. This could be on players. This could be on structure. This could be on brand and reputation. To you, is there one that comes to mind where a sport, this is really, really tricky to get great? It could be a weird one, too. It could be football. It could be a weird one in terms of, getting players for this sport is really tricky. Is there anything that pops to mind?
I think the format has a lot to do with it. So when you think of like the format, at least in the NAI, which, like college baseball, for example, I think college baseball is a tough one just because of the way you have to progress through the postseason. Like even in NCAA, you got your regional, super regionals, World Series. Right. It's just difficult versus, March Madness. I'm not saying it's easier.
But everybody's got a chance.
And you have to win, 6 games or whatever it is to go. So, I mean, if you get on a run, but anything where you have to play multiple games, I definitely think it's difficult because a lot of times the better team will win. Like you take football, while it's tough to go all the way,
you can catch it.
It's a single game. In any game, something can happen.
You're talking about a sport where usually the best team wins or the best player wins, where
Correct.
It's hard to catch them off guard.
Correct. That's why, like in basketball, you get a player that gets hot in one game, and you see all the time where there's upsets.
Especially collegiately, there's a lot of great players that are like just smattered around because it's a very popular sport.
Right.
And that's not the case for like specialist sports. A great golfer is going to be a great golfer most of the time. A great tennis player is a great tennis player mostly all the time.
Yeah, and the way golf is set up, typically, I mean, you may have a bad day one, but you're going to play enough golf over the course of a championship or a season to separate yourself.
Now, Chris, you got game? You a golfer?
I am not a golfer.
Okay.
I am not. I don't have enough time to golf.
You're from Florida. You're not a golfer?
What's your poison? You got to play some
I grew up playing basketball and football.
Nice.
Golf, I will golf. Let me put it this way. I'm not the type of person who could tell you what they shoot. I'm not thinking, I'm a scratch golf or whatever. So I'll get out there, but
you'll survive.
Chris, you got to do something. I mean, you look like you're ready to do 150 push-ups in front of us right now. That's how much you're in shape here.
Yeah, I don't think I get it. I don't think I get to 150. I could probably get to 75 if I tried, but
okay.
Yeah, 100.
What is it, the
150
gym?
is tough.
Is that your poison then? You're just a gym rat?
Working out.
Yep.
Again, I'm too old. So Steve Paul Sr. used to actually come down and we had a morning basketball game
hoop. Okay,
at Kaiser. I used to.
Okay.
When we all were younger and we injuries kind of
all right,
got away a lot faster.
Now you got me fascinated. What shoes you wear? Did you wear the LeBron? Now you're not a LeBron guy. Forgive me for asking.
So I am a big shoe guy.
Did you have a Kobe? I mean, the Kobe's were always unreal.
Let's see. I had the D-Wade Jordans.
Okay.
Had those.
Fire.
Since we're an Under Armour school, I'm going to say I had the Steph Currys, even though I don't know if I ever wore them, but I'll just plug the Steph Currys.
Absolutely. We
for Under Armour.
Love Under Armour.
Yeah, playing both sides.
Growing up, I could go through shoes. I had the Sean Kemp Kamikazes back in the day. Reebok.
Yeah, I know those. How about this? I like the old McGrady's when he was with the Magic, the black and the blues and the white and the blues. I remember growing up early 2000s, man. If you had those, you were.
My the one pair that I had way back. This was probably my first big pair of shoes, to be honest with you. Was the David Robinson pumps. This would have been like 90, 91.
The Admiral.
I don't know if you've ever seen those things, but they were huge. They were like high tops, probably like almost halfway up your calf.
Cement blocks on your feet.
I don't see the vision in getting a ton of shoes.
What do you mean you don't see the vision?
I don't see the vision.
Colin thinks a lot of things are a waste of time.
It's gluttonous.
It is gluttonous, but it's great. I don't know. Just something about buying shoes.
How many shoes do you wear in the course of a week? 2?
Oh, no. I mean,
you wear like something to work out in. You wear like work shoes. You change up. You wear a different pair of shoes every day. You one of those people?
Well, I have outside workout shoes, inside workout shoes,
right,
gym shoes.
All right.
You don't want to take your outside dirt to the inside.
All right. So you have an outdoor workout shoe. You have an indoor workout shoe. You have a gym shoe.
Yeah.
All right. You have cleats that you have?
I own golf cleats, a couple pair, even though I don't golf, but they look cool.
See,
so.
you got too many shoes. You gotta. I guess
Some
that's
people I don't know.
You're a shoe guy.
How many pair of shoes do you own?
Not many. Like 5.
5?
Yeah. I got probably 2 pairs that I wear, like that are work casual, and I have a pair of basketball shoes. I have a pair of sneakers. All right, maybe I have 6. I have a pair of running shoes. Do slides count? Like slippers?
No, those aren't shoes.
Those aren't shoes.
No.
All right, so those don't count.
We talking flip-flops?
And then I did just recently. So what is that? 6 or 7? So that's not bad.
Ask him
that's
about
a lot of shoes.
Listen, ask him about his half Ironman and him riding a bike.
Well,
and
no, all right.
I was going to ask you, how much have you trained since we last spoke about?
Every day.
You trained every day.
So, no, all right, really
Super
quickly,
Bowl Sunday,
context.
you trained.
Yes, context.
Yeah.
What did you train? What did you do?
I ran in the morning. It's not that hard. Chris.
That was the easiest thing we said. The swimming and the bike riding were the one you had to train for.
So I do something called Swifts, and I named it. I trademarked it. Swift.
Okay.
You swim and you lift, because I swim at the same time the Kaiser team does at the local pool.
Right.
And I do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays and sometimes Saturdays, depending on what I do. And I got an indoor bike thing that I set up. So
like a Peloton?
No. It's like you attach your bike to it. It's like an indoor thing.
Okay.
It's like $100. And so I set that up. I got that organized. The bike is a problem. The bike is a problem. I've fallen off the bike a number of
Chris,
times.
if you remember,
you get the oxygen mask to decrease.
Hold on. We're not even there yet. It's June 14th until my race in Boulder. So I got plenty of time.
If you remember, I said the bike was going to be the biggest problem.
Yes.
Now, how about this? I'm going to Flagstaff, Arizona. My brother's a basketball coach at Northern Arizona University.
Okay.
So I'm going there next weekend, 7,300 feet above the ground. That's 1.5 miles. I'm going to go, and I'm going to big litmus test for me, and I'll see how I am. And maybe I, get in the pool and I lose air and then drown. Who knows?
You need at least how much you need to split it, do half the biking, half the swimming, and half the running there.
Well,
the real test.
I actually,
because if you just bike it, then what?
Nobody is hating on this, Chris. I got so much time. I got 4 months. Nobody has hated on my Ironman training more than Mr. Swagger.
No,
half Ironman.
Half Ironman. Let's
no,
be
because
clear.
I'm just realistic.
This guy could do 3. This guy could do 3. Chris could do 3 Ironmans with his eyes closed.
Realistic.
That's why.
But father time doesn't help out. So the older you get, the less you've done these things. I mean, you're not old, but at the same time,
I'm getting there. I'm almost almost a fish in the water. I'm quick.
So once you say that, it all goes downhill.
Yeah, I haven't reached my peak yet. I'm getting there.
Okay.
The Kaiser people, they're fast. They're much faster than I am, but I take notes, like mental notes.
Are you just? Is your goal to finish this, or are you actually trying to place?
I don't know.
You think you can place?
I don't know how good that means.
No, he's trying to finish. He's just trying to. I'm going to answer that for him.
No,
I'm going to answer that.
I can totally do it.
Colin.
You could place. Top 50?
I did a bike this morning, 20 miles, 1,400 feet of elevation.
I see some sort of challenge or some sort of payoff here.
I mean, I hope I'm lighting a fire under him, but
I don't need a fire lit under me. I do it. I'm doing this, Chris. I'm
hoping he just finishes.
You're going to be the first person I think about when I cross that finish line.
I can just picture watching the news one day, and it's like the helicopter has to
medevac out of the water.
Yes, yeah, on one of those
little boards.
Yeah, the board.
The Coast Guard at the reservoir. All right, Chris Swagger,
or a swing.
The athletic director of Ask the AD on Kaiser University. Chris, we appreciate you giving us the time now. Looking forward to speaking again next week. Yeah. Thanks for giving us the time.
Thank you.
We'll take a time out here on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, West Palm, it's C-Cat. You want to know the secret to losing weight now and how I lost 17 pounds in 28 days? It's Metrum MD's medical weight loss program in Palm Beach Gardens. Now, it's not a fad diet. It's medically supervised and personalized for you by the best team around. No guessing, no hunger, just results. I was down 17 pounds in my first 28 days. I'm losing weight fast enough to stay motivated. The place is busy because people are seeing real results just like me. You're the next success story. Visit Metrum MD in Palm Beach Gardens for a free consultation or head to MetrumMD.com. That's M-E-T, the word trim, MD.com.
Mike Rizzo here with the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Sound the alarm. The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes with Andy Reid are mortal. The Chiefs lose Super Bowl 59 to the Philadelphia Eagles 40-22, and the Eagles denied the Chiefs the first ever three-peat in the common Super Bowl era. Patrick Mahomes got sacked 6 times, 11 quarterback hits for that Eagle defense as well. Jalen Hurts played lights out. He won Super Bowl 59 MVP, but the Eagles win the Super Bowl, denying the Chiefs of that elusive three-peat. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management Program.
The Monday Night Burger Blitz is here all week at Duffy's Sports Grill. Now through Thursday, get a Duffy's Original Cheeseburger for just $8.99 with the purchase of any beverage. Duffy's Certified Angus Beef Original Cheeseburgers, once again voted the best in Palm Beach County, and you can get them for just $8.99. Duffy's, our game is always on. Limited time offer, valid Monday, February 10th through Thursday, February 13th for dine-in only with the purchase of any beverage and cannot be combined with MVP rewards, coupons, or any other discount. Prices vary by location.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
All right. Here we go. Steve Politziner, Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat, as always on Russo and Rizzo. Steve Politziner, the Good Karma Brands president, Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill. In the studio? Have we ever had you?
Yeah, I mean, I show up today to do this in studio, and I'm chopped down in 2 minutes.
We keep you waiting? We keep you waiting? We keep you waiting?
Steve, we're a bit behind right now.
Hold on. Somebody's not on schedule? Steve
Yeah.
saying this? Steve
I see
saying
what
this?
we're getting.
We're a bit behind right now.
That is Steve saying that that's rich, isn't that?
We're a bit behind
Pot calling
right
the
now.
kettle black? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Steve, appreciate you giving us the time here. What's going on with you? Everything good? How was Super Bowl week?
Awesome. Yeah, great time. I thought New Orleans did a great job. The game obviously
You like that
was
city?
not. I think it's great. Now, traffic was horrible, and I know what killed the city was the prices of hotels. People, that's why the ticket prices went down. Nobody wanted to go once they'd made the decision.
Oh, is that true? I
Yeah,
didn't
you
know
couldn't
that.
get a hotel room. Yeah, the hotels were.
It's walkable, though. That's the idea, right? You want to get somewhere that's within walking distance of the Superdome?
Which I think is great because the next couple are not going to be in San Fran.
Santa Clara, which is
that's
30
quite a
miles
walk.
outside the city.
Backpacking for a couple of days there,
Start
boys.
walking now to get to the game.
Right.
But you like it as a host city because everything's local.
I know it was great, and it's a way that you can get around and you can decide, I'm going to go here, now I'm going to check out here. I like that about a Super Bowl city. That's Vegas, that's Indy. Like when Indy is the Final Four, I think it's awesome. I like the cities that you can get around. I like the cities where you're not where you don't have to make a choice and say, oh, all right, now once we're going there, that's all we're going because I'm going to be in a car.
All right. And what'd you think of the game?
Oh, great game. What do you think of the game? It was a terrible,
Are you happy that
terrible
the Eagles won?
Game. I like Saquon. I think
Who
Hurts
was not a huge factor in the game.
I think for Hurts, it was good. I think for the NFL, it was great. Overall, I think for the NFL, it was great.
Because they had a great viewership number?
Yeah, well, obviously, that proved to be great, but it's good to have. It would have also been fine with the Chiefs' dominance, but they didn't deserve it this year. They didn't deserve it. No one's feeling terrible for the Chiefs because the fact that they got there with the team, with one of their most pedestrian teams that they've had in this run, they didn't deserve it.
They were playing with fire all year with the close games and not playing at their best and still pulling it out. They were due.
And they also didn't deserve it because their fans weren't there. It was all Eagles fans.
Hey, hang on, Steve. Can you blame them? 3 straight Super Bowls?
Yes, it was going to be making history.
You know how
blame
expensive.
You just went about on a 5-minute tangent
Yeah,
about how expensive it was to get to New Orleans.
And now you're
the Chiefs fans should have figured it out.
All right. I guess you could put the two together.
But Steve, they're out of money. They're all those fans are out of money.
Yeah, but aren't the college fans also every year? They have to go and they got to travel now. You got to go to multiple playoff spots.
But Steve, that's old money. That's the college.
I don't know. The NFL
money.
teams. There's 100 zillion college teams. There's not that many NFL teams.
To you, I mean, Chiefs now have been blown out in 2 of the 5 Super Bowls. Is that a problem to you?
No, because they made them. Just making them. To get to the Super Bowl.
Trust me,
no.
my team's never done it, Steve.
Yeah, and I know.
Understand.
Yeah, and I know I think what Mahomes said is right. I think the losses hurt more than the feeling of the wins.
Do you think that the Brady and Mahomes conversation, did that take a big hit for Patrick? Because to Colin's point, the 2 embarrassing losses.
Yeah.
With Brady on the call is rich, too.
Brady on the call and Brady in the place where he won his first.
And Steve, I wish they would have asked him about that. Colin disagrees. I understand why, but I wish we could have got a little insight on what Brady thought about that.
I didn't catch the broadcast, obviously, but I didn't see anything about that.
It didn't come up.
I don't think it shouldn't have. Brady talked about himself plenty. He talked about himself plenty.
But why wouldn't you bring that up? I mean,
the fact that how he's compared to him,
how they're being compared, and how
because then he turns into the broadcast more about himself than he should. He should bring up his experiences.
They're paying him $40 million. Who's it supposed to be about? Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Rinaldi on the field.
Steve, what do you expect Brady to talk about? What do you expect Brady to talk about? What do you expect him to say?
Everything what it would be like to be in that same moment, which he was actually in with his level of dominance, playing in New Orleans.
Well, like
trying
to leapfrog Montana. Is that what you're trying to say?
All of it, yeah.
So you think that with Brady on the call should have given his perspective on what it's like to leapfrog the previous greatest quarterback of all time because maybe the next guy is right in front of him.
That's a great question. Yeah, I'd be curious about that.
I think people would have liked to hear the comparison.
But what is Brady supposed to say there?
I don't know. No one knows because they ain't talking about it.
Brady's going to put the pads on again if you
That's
say
why
that.
we want to hear it. Good. Get him off the booth. No, I'm kidding.
So he's multitasking. He's running one NFL team while broadcasting the rest of the games.
And listen, that was in bad taste. I know Tom will get better at the booth, and I didn't necessarily think it was a horrible broadcast, but neither here nor there.
What my point being is, I think that you let the other people talk about that legacy stuff for you. Brady all he could bring up is his stories about his Super Bowls, not necessarily the grand scope of the legacy. Brady's going to say, I'm better, because he is. He's got 7 Super Bowl championships.
Then let him say it. That would be great. We'd have more to talk about than a stinky game. A stinky game to talk about.
But then Brady comes off as smug about it.
Perfect.
Fine.
So, you're setting him up for the wrong answer.
Look,
you're setting him up to look bad.
I don't think so. I think they're setting him up to provide perspective.
I think he.
You want to set him up to look bad? Do the Netflix special. That's setting him up to look bad. The roast.
I was about his personal life, but I understand.
But I think that. People wanted to hear that, to Steve and I's point. And also, I don't think Brady would have been like, oh, no chance. He would have had an answer that's like, listen, Patrick's a great quarterback, probably has a little bit more way to go. I mean, he's got 7 champions.
Who knows what he was saying? He might have said it's tougher to win today. It's easier to win today. I don't know what he would have said.
It would have been a huge
Brady never lost like that in a big game. And Brady never lost like that in a big game.
Well, he never lost that, but he lost.
Kyle, you wouldn't.
Of course he lost, but he blown out 40-6.
Yeah, but I would say the undefeated team losing to the Giants was a worse loss.
Now, Steve,
that's a worse. That is a worse loss.
Lost those 2 games by a combined touchdown. I understand.
I think the time to ask that question was when it was Kyle, 40-6. When it was completely out of reach.
Yeah.
You knew they weren't coming back, but if you're a broadcaster, Tom, this is a bit of a blowout. If things stand, there's a lot of conversations of Patrick Mahomes being compared to you. Where does that conversation go if this score stands? I think that's a beautifully worded question.
Yeah, it would have been great. We actually left with 5 minutes left, and we all had to go to the restroom. We stopped at the Oyster Counter.
Delicious.
And we watched the very end of the broadcast. I would have been more locked in if they were talking about that.
Burkhardt was acting like the game was, within arm's reach until about the fourth quarter.
Well, he has to.
So he has to do that, but he can't ask Brady about his legacy. But he also has to ask Brady about his legacy.
Should have done both. Yeah, should have done both.
No. It's just not the right tasteful. You're talking about poor taste. That's the poor taste question. Because what is Brady supposed to do? Wax poetic about his own career? Let people tell you that you're great. Don't tell people.
Okay. All right. I
There's
hear
something
that.
to that.
Do-
If you're good, if you're good at something, you'll tell everybody. But if you're great, they'll tell you. That's the
Ooh,
idea.
Wow. That's a fortune cookie.
Thank you.
He's got all the answers.
He's got all the answers. Steve Politziner on Russo and Rizzo right now. Steve, we're talking about NBA history a little bit. Durant's become the 8th player in NBA history to amass 30,000 points. And he talk about a polarizing career because if he gets traded again, this is going to be probably the 3rd trade of Durant's career where it's an ugly-ish exit. He wasn't happy with the adversity that he was being faced with.
Yep.
His legacy is adversity comes, and I get hit with it. And I want to skip town because of that. To you, once it's all said and done, he's closer to the end of his career, where would Durant sort of hang around for you in terms of the all-time greats? Are you the eye test guy like some people where, oh, he's great, he's so much more skilled than everybody else in terms of a pure basketball player he's up there, or the accolades, accomplishments makes a big dent?
Well, you love him because of the way he was able to, like, change the game. I mean, he became, early on, he was like a 6'10" shooting guard.
Which never happened, yeah.
He literally, like, was part of this evolution of where everyone's like a 3, a stretch 4, or a 2. So he was, like, he really was that guy. Do I put him in an all-time top 10? No. I know he's there in the scoring. His championship was debatable because he joined a team that had already won. He didn't do it elsewhere on his own. Everywhere he's gone and tried to build these super teams have been a disaster. Besides the one that he joined, and and I don't think he does enough other things great. Right? I used to also say Carmelo Anthony was like the modern day Bernard King. Durant is that on steroids. Like, and he's certainly not on steroids.
Right? No.
But,
we know what you mean.
To another level. I don't think you can't be at a level of elite unless you've won multiple championships. Now, I do think he helped change the game, and he's
an influential
unstoppable scorer.
Right. And
he's an influential player.
To your point, Steve, I love weird quirks with NBA players. Like Kareem's got the skyhook, unguardable shot. In my opinion, Kevin Durant's jumper is damn near an unguardable shot. And that's his weird quirk that no one can defend.
And just the way how he scores, how he just rips people's hearts out, Slim Reaper, like all that's awesome. He's not a top 10 all-time player.
No. And I said top 20. I think
that I'd have to really have to analyze.
Maybe close to top 20. Colin and I really got into it on that on that list we were making.
I think Durant's hanging around the 15 range.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top 8, he's no better. All right, I'll give you these top 8 players, right? And you tell me right away, is he even debatable or
all right, go ahead.
better?
Like
all right, number 1, obviously not LeBron.
He's not better than LeBron.
Not Kareem.
He's not better than Kareem.
Number 3 is Karl Malone.
Yeah.
I don't think he's better.
It's close, yeah. It's close.
4 is Kobe.
He's better than Kobe.
No, better than Kobe.
He's not better.
Colin, like Kobe.
Colin, the disrespect with Colin from Kobe's
unbelievable.
Honest to
Kobe
God,
was never the best player on his 3 championships, the early part go around.
What about the other 3?
He made everybody better.
In Game 7 of Boston, the 2010 one that they won, Kobe in that game, Game 7, 6 of 24 from the field, 0 for 6. He was a negative, no differential in terms of how he was on the court.
We're not even debating that one.
Yeah.
They lost by 39.
We're not debating that one.
He tried to tell me that Kobe's Steve. We got to talk
top
about
15, 12 player
Steve,
ever. The revisionist history with Kobe is a bit much.
Kobe might be in 10 to 15.
That's where he is.
But he's ahead of Durant. Just say it. Is he ahead of Durant?
They're different players.
Is he ahead of Durant?
If you don't,
I think Durant's an.
Is Kobe Bryant?
They're in the 10 to 15 range. Both.
So you think it's debatable? Those two?
It's undebatable. Kobe is a top 10 player. If Kobe's not in your top 10,
I don't know if he's top 10. I don't know if he's top 10, but there is no place where he's not ahead of Durant.
Had him at 4.
5-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals
You're just
MVP,
reading his accolades.
MVP,
You got to have context.
There is context.
This.
You tried to say he's not a clutch player. That's insanity.
This list.
2002. Against the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings were up 3-2 in the series. Tim Donahue blew the game. He rigged the game, and the Lakers won the title because of that. Shouldn't have had that title. The Sacramento was the best team in the Western Conference that year. They're the 2nd seed. They probably would have won the whole thing.
But, Steve,
they didn't that year, and that ring is tainted. And Kobe wasn't even the best player on that team. The first year, Kobe was so young. I believe he averaged 18 in that playoff game, that playoff run, and Shaq averaged 36 and 20. So how great was he then?
What about the 2 years? What about the first time they played the Kings when he had 48 points in a closeout game?
He had 30 points in a closeout game.
He had 48.
I was always more a Shaq guy than a Kobe guy, but Kobe made everybody better. Shaq might have been more fun to be as a teammate. Shaq might have been created more laughs, and Shaq might have been more dominant at certain times.
Yeah.
Kobe made everybody better. And you really,
listen, I'm sorry I'm getting so fired up. I'm not lying here, though. On May the 13th in 01, Kobe had 48 points at Sacramento in a closeout game.
All right, so yeah, you have your game. You have your game where he went 6 through 24. And now let's.
Well, one was the finals in Game 7.
Throw those both
Steve,
out.
what was the final Game 7? What about 2008 in the finals, the one that they lost by 39 points? He was minus 35 on the floor. How great was he then?
He's the 5th leading scorer in the history of the NBA.
Yes.
And you want to pull up 2 games that he didn't have his best effort?
That's what I mean. And he's telling me he's not clutch. I'm losing
He has
my
one
mind
MVP.
over here.
He has one MVP. He has one MVP. How many years was he the best player in the NBA? 2? 3?
No, yeah, okay.
Kobe
Right.
carried
yeah,
the torch.
it's
Kobe
like
was
this is like a Phil Mickelson
Mike, give me
argument.
something from substance here. Come on, give me
This
an
is
actual
Phil
point.
Mickelson.
Kobe was the face of the league for about 15 years when LeBron, like before LeBron and LeBron's first 7 years of his career, Kobe Bryant was still the face of the league.
I was never the biggest
He
Kobe
was
guy.
still
You
the
can
face
even
of the
argue in the
league, man.
post-Allen Iverson era, he saved the league. He bridged the league into when you got into D-Wade and Melo
and he had
and
2
LeBron.
runs. I understand one was with Shaq, but everyone had a great player with them that won. Everyone had a great player and was on great teams.
But my point is he wasn't the best player. You're talking about the 4th best player of all time. But he wasn't the best player with those 3 teams?
I have a number 4 with what he's done for the league, with all the accolades. I know you scoff at his accolades. They're still really good accolades.
Really
Fifth
good.
scoring.
And
all
I'm putting
time.
it-
You think
I'm
he's
putting it-
overrated?
I'm putting him in a top 15 player of all time. How am I calling him
You
overrated?
think he's overrated, but you didn't even say that he's definitively better on the all-time list than Kevin Durant?
Durant is where to you? Where would you range me? 10 to 15?
20.
My gut is 15 to 20.
15 to 20. So
Yeah.
where is Kobe?
My gut with Durant is 15 to 25. I really have to go through it.
15
like,
to 20.
even if we look at
All
these top scorers,
15 to
you don't
25.
have,
And where do you range Kobe? 10 to 15? Yeah.
12 to 20.
12 to 20. It's that bizarre. It's that bizarre to have a player that you think is 12 for in between the 12 and 20.
Yeah.
But it's crazy for me to say that the guy between 15 and 25 might be a smidge better. And I'm not even.
Well, that's Mike has him in the top 10.
He's in the top 5.
No, he's not in the top 5. He's not in the top 5.
He's not in the top 5.
He's not ahead of Magic. He's not ahead of Larry. He's not ahead of Michael. He's not ahead of Bill Russell.
Boys, I have exited stage right. I'm out of this
The
conversation.
only thing you told us, Mike, is that he was a great player in that Kings game, and that he has he doesn't have more MVPs.
I could give a damn about this. Is the MVPs that one? Steve Nash, 2-time MVP. Is Steve Nash
Mike's
better than Kobe Bryant?
No.
Okay, but he won the MVP. He won the MVP.
Yeah, he didn't go 6
he's
for
2-time
24 in that
MVP. Is Dirk Nowitzki better than Kobe Bryant? The answer is no.
Well, Dirk doesn't have 5 championships.
I understand how you value the MVP award.
It's context.
I understand it, but Kobe's a better player than Steve Nash.
How is he better than
and
Magic?
He's a better player than Dirk.
All right, Steve Nash and Dirk are both not in the top 10. Tell me how he's better than Magic right now.
I think
he
he's
has less
the most-
MVPs. He has less championships.
He is
Talk about Magic.
He's not better than Magic.
Magic won a Finals MVP when he was a rookie. He had 42, 17, and 8.
He has more
starting at center.
championships than Magic. What are we talking about? He's got
Shaq
5.
But
Magic, he's got more than he's got
Magic
5.
played in more. And Magic played. And
Magic won,
another game
87,
changer. Magic changed.
Magic won 87, 88, 85, 81.
And it's also
80.
what's your criteria? Like, what is your
How
criteria for
important
this?
for you? How
Colin
great
is huge on that MVP. Because Kobe won MVP and he's putting him. I mean, he's a plumber. He's the 20th best player of all time.
You're being so hyperbolic. He is a top 15 player in the National Basketball Association's history. He is not a top 5 player. You are so hyperbolic.
He was the face of the league for 15 years.
Well, all right,
for
fine.
15 years, he carried
when
the
did
torch.
LeBron take the torch? When?
I would probably say 2000, his final year in Cleveland. His final year in Cleveland in 2010.
So the 2 MVPs before that. it didn't do it.
After Kobe's final championship, he took the torch once he went to.
And when did he? And Kobe? So for a 6-7 year period, Kobe had the torch.
I think once Shaq was done in Miami, that's when the torch went to Kobe and he carried it for 8 to 10
Shaq got traded out of Miami. What? 2008?
Yeah.
2007?
It probably hit.
No, it was 05, dude. They won the championship in 05.
And he got traded. You said he got traded out of Miami.
I said he got traded out of LA to Miami in 05.
To Miami.
And once he was done in Miami, after that championship in Miami, the league was Kobe's. The league was Kobe's after
So
that
your
championship,
argument is
in my
he
opinion.
was the face of the league for 5 years, and
was-
that's your argument that he's the fourth best player in the history of the National Basketball Association.
I will say, that what facilitated that.
Time out.
Yeah,
I'm a
the
LeBron guy.
Pistons got the best of them. They had to break them up.
Steve, I am a LeBron guy.
Sure.
People would argue that the torch was with Kobe long into 2012.
You're talking about the
as well.
torch. You're not giving me any. You're not giving me anything of. You said he's carried the league for what 5-6 years. Then he's the fourth best player of all time.
The torch went from Michael to Kobe to LeBron, and we're looking for the next one.
The Lakers revolutionized the fast break.
That was
they were.
I thought it was a great time in the NBA
Great
because
time.
you had different guys.
You want to talk about
Tim
saving the
Duncan.
league? You want to talk about saving the league? 80s saved the NBA.
Yeah,
that turned
no
it into
doubt.
the star power of the NBA. The NBA was in shambles in the 70s. And then the merger happened, and then it actually finally got into something because they were able to build on two stars in marquee markets. Magic Johnson was one.
Hang on.
It went through a new renaissance, though, in the early 2000s.
I understand you guys.
The game had gotten rough and had gotten...
Because the Jordan, it was post-Jordan era.
I understand.
It's part of the reason why he came back.
I understand you guys on 12, 13, 15. Any list I look at has Kobe top 6.
What you telling us
Top
what you
six?
think?
Any list I look at.
You tell us about your
I'm
list
between you two because you're extreme with the Kobe's top 6. That's not true, and you basically have him below Eddie Jones.
Colin has him. I mean, my God, he's
Mike. Top four. Mike, you're so hyperbolic, and you're not giving me an ounce of substance with what you're trying to say. You said
5-time NBA champion.
Fine, he's a 5-time NBA champion.
My God.
He's a top 15 player in the history
And
of the
the
national.
substance,
Is he better than Kareem? Yes or no? Is he Is he better than Curry in your eyes?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think he's better than Curry.
Yes.
Is he more influential than Curry? No.
He's not.
Yes.
I don't think he's better than Curry.
I think culturally, Kobe Bryant is one of the most
All right,
popular players.
yeah,
in
that's
NBA
what I'm
history.
saying. Give me
Not
your
even
algorithm.
close.
Yours is
Not
like
even close.
sneaker sales.
My algorithm is not sneaker sales. It's a
sneaker sales and Twitter
Then
trending.
just give me the roster of everyone.
It is a 5-time
So you got
break.
Robert Horry. You got Robert Horry ahead of Kevin Durant.
Guys, Robert Horry and Kobe. What are we talking
Your
about?
criteria
here?
is
What are we
carrying the torch of the
talking
league.
about?
Mike. You're talking. Sure, Curry is also a 4-time champion. He is the, if not, he's the greatest shooter to ever play basketball. He was on one team his whole career.
Changed it. Another game changer.
A top 3 most influential. Him, Jordan, and
Kobe was not. You got to give this. He was not a game changer. Like he didn't.
He was
the
Jordan.
position
He was Jordan.
He was a
He
poor
was Jordan.
man's Jordan,
Oh, my God.
and I mean that in the best
poor
way
man's-
possible.
Poor man's Michael.
He was
Okay.
he
All right.
was
That's what he is.
He was a
we said that
close
earlier in the
second
show.
to Jordan.
He was a.
I disagree, boys. So let's just leave it at that. I
I mean,
emphatically
did you guys play the
disagree.
legal ID?
Very
Is anyone, I
disagree.
mean,
We'll
it's
get to a
12
legal
minutes
ID in a
past.
second.
Putting our license at risk.
Is
here.
he better than Bill Russell?
I
Never
think
played a
so.
game.
I
Never
think
played
so.
a game 7 in his life.
I
It's
think
about
so.
how greatness
I think
is
he's better
measured
than
and
Bill.
about how great you were
Better
in the
than Bill.
era in compared to the era in which you played. That's greatness.
I have him better than Bill.
Why?
I have him better
Why?
than Bill.
Why?
Because I think in Kobe's time, he was a more pulverizing figure than Bill Russell.
What?
Yes.
Bill Russell won
Yes.
11 straight.
The league was a
won
lot more
11 titles in 13
the
years. He was a
league-
player.
the
That's
league-
not Bill Russell's fault.
The league was a lot more
What, 'cause
popular
the league
when
was
Kobe was
racist?
playing.
What do you mean? It was
he-
popular?
he
All right, so-
desegregated
Guys,
the league.
don't ask me about Wilt and Bill because you're not going to like my answer.
I
don't think they have the careers they do against good competition. I don't
your-
think it was good competition back in the day.
it's so-
you can
it's
call me
such an
call me-
elementary way
that's
of
fine.
thinking
That's
about
fine.
it.
That's fine.
How do you-
in
you're
a game
both
7?
nuts.
In a game 7, give me Kobe Bryant over Bill Russell.
Can I just talk? Can I just talk to the fans here for a second? I talk to the audience for a second. Colin, you're nuts because for you that it has to be off MVPs.
I'm not saying off MVPs.
Well,
It's
yeah, because
context.
Steve Nash won 2
Yeah.
MVPs.
When did I say
No,
Steve
'cause
Nash was top 15?
Yep.
When did I say that?
I'm not saying.
But Mike,
So
your
that's exactly what
algorithm.
you just
said.
I've
The point I'm
heard
trying to
about
make is
sneaker
'cause-
sales and what year it was.
And the Twitter trending.
The point,
I mean-
the point I'm trying to make is Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki were the 3 MVPs from 05 to 07
No, I get
when
it, Mike.
Kobe was
Like,
playing
it's a lot
unbelievable.
I get it. It's
so Kobe's going to
popularity.
get penalized.
Bill Russell, when he played, didn't have the Instagram followers
Yeah, you're
that Kobe had.
Chamberlain beat Jim Brown in a foot race. He was the best volleyball player to ever live at his time. He was an All-American track athlete. He scored 100 points in a game. He averaged over 48 minutes a game in the early part of his career. Kareem, Kareem played in the 70s, so we should disregard his career? He lost 2 games in college. One of them, he poked his eye out against USC in the first half. Won 88-2 in college. So how are we going to disregard history because Kobe was a more promising superstar in an 8-year period? Greatness is measured in the era in which you played and how
And
good
Kobe
you were.
was pretty dominant in his era.
He
guys.
sure was. He wasn't top 4.
Wow.
Sure was. He wasn't that far. Tell us about what's going on with Duffy, Steve.
Good time to segue because football season is not over yet at Duffy Sports Grill. In fact, there's a lot of basketball, going on right now. The Monday Night Burger Blitz has been extended to run every day through tomorrow, all day, every day. Get a Duffy's Original Cheeseburger for $8.99 with the purchase of any beverage. Of course, this is Duffy's Certified Angus Beef Original Cheeseburgers, voted the best in Palm Beach County at Duffy's. Our game is always on. Hold on. I have to say this, limited time only, valid Monday, February 10th through Thursday, February 13th for dine-in only with the purchase of any beverage. It cannot be combined with Duffy's rewards, coupons, or any other discount. Price varies by location.
Great job, Steve. As always, appreciate you giving us the time here on Russo and Rizzo. See you, Steve.
Thanks.
Steve Politziner.
Is racking up tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt really worth the 4-year degree? Not a lot of people think so anymore. A recent Wall Street Journal poll found that 56% of us believe that a skills-based education, that's a smarter investment than a 4-year degree. So why waste that time and money when there's an alternative right here in North Palm Beach that teaches skills that people can actually use in today's world, and you can get those skills in just months, not years. I'm talking about CSB Media Arts Center in North Palm Beach, the home to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which provides hands-on training in audio and video production, podcasting, sports broadcasting, social media marketing, filmmaking, coding, and so much more. For over 60 years, CSB has placed thousands of graduates in careers. Take a moment and visit GoCSB.com to schedule a tour. That's GoCSB.com.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter? Right? And the best part? They accept Discover. Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen Report.
ESPN 1063 is your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Where Miami heats up, the playoffs take center stage, and the big game is always in play. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try it now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida, must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Considered by gambling. Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
The all-new 2025 Range Rover Evoque, where bold design meets refined luxury. Ready to elevate your drive? With 3.9% APR for 60 months, it's the perfect time to make your move. For well-qualified buyers, that means payments as low as $1,837 a month per $1,000 financed. Visit your Land Rover Palm Beach off Okeechobee Boulevard. Or head over to LandRoverPalmBeach.com and experience the 2025 Range Rover Evoque today.
South Florida's one and only PGA Tour event returns to the Champion Course at PGA National, February 26th through March 2nd. The Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches will deliver a best-in-class on-site experience featuring a variety of fan amenities alongside the premier competition. Kids 15 and under are admitted free with a ticketed adult. This can't-miss event is right around the corner. Buy your tickets now at thecognizantclassic.com.
Banyan Printing, your trusted printing, mailing, and signage partner in the Palm Beaches for over 45 years. Banyan Printing's new metallic ink press adds that extra shine so that your product comes out in glossy gold, sparkling silver, or any other color you want to shine. Banyan Printing is the official printer of Kaiser Athletics and would love to be your official printing partner as well. Order products and learn more about what Banyan Printing can do for your business at banyanonline.com or call 561-586-6220.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Technically, the second hour of Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, as always, displeased with our time management today. But I've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall. My friends Mark, Anajar, Glenn Levine over at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys are here to fight for you. They don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Why settle for just any attorney? Demand Anajar and Levine today. The Anajar and Levine difference all takes one phone call to take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. We'll do a little NBA talk a little later on in the program. We good?
Oh, dude, we're great.
Oh, we're great. Are we?
Brother, we're great. I can't fathom Kobe being the 12th best, 15th best player of all time.
I think more people would agree with that than the opposite end of the spectrum. But I understand.
We'll get more into it later because we got a special guest. We got Chad. Chad, how we doing, partner?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Good.
So Chad is a big fan of the program, joining us now. And Chad, thank God you're taking Christian's spot because Christian is back there. I think Christian, you were in the room with him. Christian is a little displeased with
he's very angry
because of our time management.
Right now.
But one thing I noticed about you, Chad, a big fan of the program. You got a Luka Doncic jersey on? Chad? And he's wearing a Luka Doncic Mavericks jersey.
Maybe turn his headphone thing on.
Oh, we're having some technical difficulties with Chad?
Now we're good.
Can you hear us, Chad?
I can hear you now.
Nah, my man,
Chad. You got a Luka Doncic jersey on.
Yes.
So explain that to me. Is this a Mavericks thing?
No, it's a Luka thing.
So you're just Luka?
Just Luka.
Where does that fandom start?
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird to Luka. Okay,
Basically.
so you're a Larry Bird guy. Where does Larry Bird rank all time for you?
Oh, definitely top 10.
Definitely top 10?
6, 7.
I agree with that.
Somewhere in
I
there.
do too, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. But he is underrated. And I was just actually telling CCAT, my buddies at work, we have a conversation all the time. They call him Larry Pollo. And they disrespect him quite a bit. So
you don't like dealing with that, no.
Well, I've been working on them for years. They're finally coming around.
So Chet, where do you have? Do you agree with Colin on that spectrum, or with me? Where do you got Kobe on your all-time list?
Kobe. I mean, you guys are you're splitting hairs. He's right. He's right there in that 12.
That's what I said. Mike was going after me saying I thought he was a plumber. I'm saying he's a top 15 player in the history of the association.
Definitely not top 10.
Definitely not top 10.
No.
Oh my God.
I agree with you.
Okay, maybe
Chad,
I'm the one that's in
Chad.
the wrong here.
You're going to help us out today. You're going to do our 5 at 5 today. Why don't you kick things off for us?
All right. Cowboys quarterback.
You're good.
Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott had something interesting to say about Eagles and Commanders having playoff success this season.
I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the trophy right now. So credit to them. They've earned it and they deserved it by all means. But, yeah, very close, especially when you even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And, as I said, feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time. To see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us.
Is it the Cowboys' turn to go on a playoff run like Dak claims?
So obviously you got the Commanders that went on a run. The NFC Championship was littered with NFC East teams, Cal.
Turn? Like it's like a...
That's what he said. It's their turn. Did you hear it?
Yeah. I hear that. I hear that. No, it's not their turn. You don't hire Brian Schottenheimer as your head coach if it is your turn. Probably the worst hiring of the cycle. Now they're going to have to do some soul searching, some identity searching. The fact that they think they're going to walk in there and thrust themselves back into playoff contention, I have a hard time believing that. If that was the case, you would have kept McCarthy around. If you really thought it was your turn, it was just a matter of time, you keep McCarthy around. Chad, would you agree with that?
I would.
You would agree with that.
They have a lot of good players on that team. The Cowboys are loaded with great players, but I'm with you guys, man. I think the Commanders and the Eagles are clear of them right now. I think a lot of it is riding on what to Colin's point, what Schottenheimer is going to be as a head coach.
Chad, let's go to number 2.
Number 2, guys.
Number 2.
It's a mock draft season in the NFL. The hot topic these days is top quarterbacks Shadir Sanders and Cam Ward. Are these 2 quarterbacks worth taking at the top 2 picks?
Well, if the Titans are flirting with getting out of those 2 spots, then it sounds like no. It sounds like that one or both of them are not necessarily towards the level of the 1 and 2 overall players in the draft. Now, I actually think Shadur, from what I saw, he's an accurate passer. He throws a catchable football. I actually think he's going to be a halfway decent pro. I think he's actually going to be pretty good. Cam Ward is another thing because he plays so slow. Fast but slow. It's weird. He's a great athlete. He's a quick athlete, but his cadence is slow.
Yep.
And that, to me, does not translate, or doesn't seem like it would translate. I have a little bit more hesitation with him. He's got the arm talent and everything like that. But weirdly enough, I think Shador actually is going to be a pretty viable NFL quarterback.
I'm with Colin on that. I think Shador is going to be a good player. I think that Deion Sanders recently said, I'm happy that Shador didn't get my athleticism because it's making him become a pocket passer. And I think that's going to work in the NFL. Cam Ward, you bring up the improvising. Caleb Williams did a lot of that in college, and he learned the hard way early on in the NFL. You can't really do that. If you don't have Lamar Jackson-esque kind of athleticism and speed, you can't really do that in the NFL. I think Cam's going to learn that same thing. So for that sense, I think one of them is probably worth it. I got to sit here and wait and see about Cam Ward.
Chad, you are South Florida born and raised. Do you have a football fandom with the allegiance with the Dolphins?
Oh, yes, Dolphins.
You're Dolphins through and through.
Through and through to my childhood, yes.
Really? And Tua Tagovailoa, we're speaking of quarterbacks, does that irk you? Is that contract, that situation, is that bothersome to you, or is it more elsewhere for you?
Great question. Yeah, it's bothersome. I mean, it is.
Do you have a problem with the coach?
No. Well,
the
yes.
Tua thing
Yes.
is about his. Yeah, I would have a problem with them too.
Yeah.
Is it more about the injuries or more about his level of play, Tua?
With Tua? No, it's all about the injuries. When he's out there, he looks good.
But he's never out there.
But he's not out there enough, and everybody's just on pins and needles waiting for that next one big hit.
Thanks. Chad, let's move on. Number 3.
Number 3. The NBA's past halfway point and close to the All-Star break. Who's been the team that surprised you the most so far this season?
I think a clear one is Houston. Houston, I believe, is they've had a bad stretch of games last week and a half. But that was a team that was flirted to be around 500. But Sengun, Van Vliet, Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore, and Amen Thompson being the core 5 that has kind of come out of nowhere. That team is young. They're feisty. They're not going to do anything the postseason. But in terms of having the pieces together right now, they get a good coach. Udoka had an ugly exit out of the Celtics, but I think that almost allowed the Rockets to get him on a bit of a bargain. That's a team that, to me, was a big surprise.
I think it's the Detroit Pistons. I didn't have them as the 6th seed right now in the Eastern Conference. I understand the Eastern Conference not the bottom half, rather, like the 4 through 6. It's not the juggernaut that the West is, but the fact that the Pistons are over 500, Kate Cunningham's really coming in to be a good young player. Jalen Duren is having an incredible year, blocking shots and rebounding. I think Jaden Ivey, the former Purdue Boilermaker, is really having a good year too. So I'd probably say the Pistons because I had them more as a lottery team than a playoff team. How about you, Chad?
That surprises me. You didn't say the Cavs because I'm going to go with the Cavs.
I knew the Cavs were going to be good. I just don't think best. I had them as a top 2, top 3 seed. I thought Boston would be the best team in the Eastern Conference. But, I mean, how about the job that Atkinson's been able to do, Chad?
Oh, you're
the
right.
new head coach did it with Cleveland.
Detroit's an up-and-comer, no doubt about it.
Right.
Well, that's why Bickerstaff went over to Detroit because he's more of the type to get the team to float.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're above water. That's what Cleveland was with Bickerstaff. So they, to their credit, knew that, all right, well, this is probably not an upside coach. This is somebody to get us back to the median or a little above that. Now let's move on to Atkinson, who is a high upside coach. Great job by Cleveland. They ran back the top 5 players. They all came back. They're kind of rerunning it. I thought DeAndre Hunter was a great get. They needed a wing, a perimeter defender. So to them, I had their over, by the way. Chad, you'll like this. The 4 overs I took on the over-unders of the win totals for the futures in the NBA, I took the Rockets over, 43.5 wins. They're going to hit that in 2 weeks.
Right.
I took the Memphis Grizzlies to get 46.5 over. and they're second seed in the Western Conference, so they're 22 games above 500, something like that. So that's going to be good. I took the Cavs 47.5 over, which I think is going to hit like next week.
Yeah, it is.
They have like 42 wins, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And I took the 76er under. The number, 52.5 wins. I took it under, and they're 11 games under 500. That's pretty good.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Sounds
Kyle's
like you knew it all. Yeah.
Really good with the futures.
Oh, I got
Really
lucky.
good.
I got burned with a couple of them last year, so I was due for some good
Kyle,
luck.
the one that I'm going to hit is that Denver one. Denver's 50. I think they 50.
They played great recently, yeah.
I think that they get that number.
Chad, number 4.
Number 4, guys.
Number 4.
The Cubs and Dodgers pitchers and catchers have reported to spring training. What's the biggest storyline right now in baseball heading into spring training?
Into spring training, I guess to me, one thing I was curious about coming into this is how the Orioles are going to respond. They lost out on Burnsy as their top pitching piece, and they have some health coming back with the bullpen. But with all that talent there, it's almost like they're running around the same circle expecting a different result. I'm curious on how Baltimore, in that pretty loaded division, is going to respond here, especially with the Yankees, because I think the Yankees did really, really well in the offseason. And I know the Mets is a popular one, but the NL is just the Dodgers. So I'm going to have to shift to something in the AL. Who's going to be that second fiddle team to New York? Who is going to be that team? Is it going to be Cleveland again? Is it going to be Baltimore finally taking another step? Who is that going to be? Is it going to be the Astros again? The Rangers? Are they going to reload? That, to me, is the biggest question going into the MLB season.
I'm boring, guys. It's the Dodgers buying everybody and just being clear, I think, of everybody in the MLB. I mean, they went on a shopping spree with a blank check, and a lot of it had to do with that deferred contract that they signed to Shohei Ohtani last year. So I think the storyline has to be the Dodgers with all that firepower. I mean, now they got Kershaw coming back, too. They have like 8 starting pitchers that could really give them 5 innings at any moment throughout the year. It's crazy to me.
Speaking of not paying, are you a Marlins guy?
I am not a Marlins guy.
Good. So
more of a Braves fan.
You're a Braves fan?
Yeah.
What was that about? Was that in the 90s?
That's from my childhood growing up here in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Used to watch them at Municipal Stadium right next to the
Small
Leaky
team.
Tiki. Yeah.
And one of the great rotations in the history of the MLB in the mid-90s, too.
I loved the Braves when the Braves were horrible.
Okay.
The Bob Horner days.
Oh, wow. Oh, how about that? All right. And Braves now, I'm curious. In terms of a roster, they're kind of being a little slept on in terms of how good
100%,
they are because of how good the Dodgers are, I guess, loading up to be. But, I mean, in terms of getting healthy at the right time.
They lost Max Fried, but Spencer Strider's coming back from injury.
Schwellenbach's going to be back.
And that whole offensive lineup is great.
I mean,
so yeah, they'll be
1 through 9, they're great.
Chad, to your point, they got battered with injuries last year. And I think Jurickson Profar is going to be a great signing. I'm a huge Profar guy.
Yeah, Profar's solid. He was good for the Padres. He was actually pretty solid for the A's for a while. Former number 1 prospect in baseball. Let's move on to number 5.
Number 5, guys.
Number 5.
All right, we all pay for them and have them. What's your favorite subscription you pay for every month? Is it an app, a streaming service, Twitch sub? What do you got?
Chad, you're going to like this. You know what mine is? It's an unlimited movie subscription at my local theater. $20 a month. Nice. I get to see unlimited movies. And I'm a movie guy.
I love it.
I'm a movie guy. So some people are movie guys. They don't go to the theater. I'm a big movie guy. I like going to the theater. I like seeing things. You get your money's worth, what, 2 times? For the price you're spending nowadays to go to the theater, that's my best one. It's at my local Regal. And it's $21 a month, $22 a month. You get unlimited movies. That is a steal.
That's a good deal.
Because you get out what you put in.
Mine is kind of one that people think is a waste of time. It's the no ads on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube for.
You pay for that?
Oh yeah, not
you
even
can
close.
Skip most ads.
No,
nowadays.
hell no, dude. Hell no. I do. I'm a huge gamer, Chad, and I'm always looking at like gaming stuff. I'm looking at sports stuff. A lot of our stuff that we do here on Russo and Rizzo is on YouTube. So I need the free ad on YouTube. And I laugh because my buddies will be watching something on their phone on YouTube and an ad will pop up. It'll be like a minute. I'm like, bro, I'm like, you don't pay for it, and people are like, Riz, you're crazy for paying that $18.99.
I think that is nuts
for YouTube,
too.
so.
I don't know,
but
I
I
skip most of them.
And some of the music I listen to as well is some YouTube exclusive stuff. Some of the shows that I watch as well. So definitely my YouTube subscription, $18.99 a month. How about you?
Guys, I don't have any. I got nothing for you.
You're unplugged.
I'm unplugged.
No, you got to have Peacock.
You don't
gotta
have
Amazon.
You not have MLB subscription.
If I can't get it on my Fire Stick, and there are ways, then I don't need to pay for it.
If you're watching a Braves game, you don't have the MLB TV app?
No, I don't get the seasonal subscriptions for that
It's a
type
good
of
deal.
stuff.
It's a good deal if you really
if I were to do one, that would be the one I would be wanting to do, was either a baseball or the NBA package, so I could get a lot of different
we
games.
do. My buddies and I split the baseball one between 3 people. It's $60 between all of us for a whole year access.
I like that.
You didn't get Sunday Ticket.
No.
Not even Red Zone. I usually only get Red Zone.
I can get Red Zone on my Fire Stick.
What type of Fire Stick do you have? Where'd you
What's
buy
going on?
it?
That Fire Stick's smoking over there, partner. What's
Wow.
going on?
All right, interesting. So that's your Fire Stick is that ultimate subscription, I feel like.
Yes, sir.
Big props to Chad for helping us out with the 5 and 5. We got to roll on here with the program. Russo and Rizzo and ESPN 106.3. We brought up a little baseball things. Well, it's time for baseball in West Palm Beach. Spring training just around the corner. Cacti Park at the Palm Beaches. It's the place to be. Grab your family, friends, soak in the sunshine, listen to a crack of a bat, get some food. Watch the Houston Astros and the Washington Nationals take on teams like the Yankees, the Mets, the Braves, our Chad's Braves, and for the first time ever, the Blue Jays. Catch the excitement from February 22nd through the March 23rd. Tickets are on sale now over at cactipark.com. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Secure your seat today. Pitchers and catchers, I believe for some teams, report tomorrow. So that is very exciting for those baseball heads out there, and baseball has a big pulse on this community. We roll on here. We'll come back after this timeout. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Improve your golf game fast at the all-new Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center has the facilities, tools, and coaching you need. Enjoy the best facilities in the area with an expansive chipping and putting area, practice bunkers, a huge putting green, plus a 2,000 square foot indoor training area with 3 hitting bays, cutting-edge analysis technology, and more. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center in the heart of Palm Beach County off I-95 and the Turnpike. Find out more at kaisergolfcenter.com.
The quality of our choices affects the quality of our lives. So, when it comes to how you move, do you choose to see a doctor or go to the #1 orthopedic specialist in the world, backed by a team who custom tailor your treatment? Do you choose to live with limitations or live life to the fullest by going to the place that's #1 at getting people back to what they love? Choose better, move better. Locations in West Palm Beach and Wellington. Learn more at hss.edu/Florida.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures. Until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
The 2024 Land Rover Discovery, built for those who seek both adventure and luxury. With 2.9% APR for 48 months, now is the perfect time to drive into your next journey. For well-qualified buyers, that's as low as $17.92 a month per $1,000 financed. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today off Okeechobee Boulevard or head over to LandRoverPalmBeach.com and take home the 2024 Discovery today.
As market dynamics change, the quality of service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver where others can't. Visit ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
Nashville.
Attention, South Florida! The PGA Tour champions and the Pro Football Hall of Fame are teaming up for a one-of-a-kind event, the James Hardy Pro Football Hall of Fame Invitational. From March 31st to April 6th, the action takes over the old course at Broken Sound in Boca Raton, featuring Hall of Fame legends like Warren Sapp, Calvin Johnson, Andre Reed, Rondé Barber, Chris Carter, and more. Tickets are on sale now at JamesHardyInvitational.com. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the home of legends.
What's the Anajar Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most, getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation, 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
Is racking up tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt really worth the 4-year degree? Not a lot of people think so anymore. A recent Wall Street Journal poll found that 56% of us believe that a skills-based education, that's a smarter investment than a 4-year degree. So why waste that time and money when there's an alternative right here in North Palm Beach that teaches the skills that people can actually use in today's world, and you can get those skills in just months, not years. I'm talking about CSB Media Arts Center, the home of Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which provides hands-on training in audio and video production, podcasting, sports broadcasting, social media marketing, filmmaking, coding, and so much more. For over 60 years, CSB has placed thousands of graduates in careers. Take a moment and visit GoCSB.com to schedule a tour. That's GoCSB.com.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Where Miami heats up, the playoffs take center stage, and the big game is always in play. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try it now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida, must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager. Terms and conditions apply. Considered by gambling. Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Welcome to Recycle Right Trivia, sponsored by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Question 1. What belongs in the yellow recycling bin?
Newspapers, cereal boxes, magazines?
Correct! Now, blue bin. What goes in there?
Plastic bottles, aluminum cans, glass jars?
You nailed it! Remember, Palm Beach County, recycle right and stay in the game for our planet.
I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, little mama.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. Christian, hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I want to strangle your neck. Probably the wrong day to say strangle your neck, but, I hate you guys. I'll be honest.
You hate timing me? And getting in and out of breaks.
I freaking hate you guys.
Why do you hate me?
Yeah, just a lack of planning, immaturity. Oh, goodness gracious. You two are on my bleep list, man.
You look good in that shirt, though.
Thank you. I feel bad that I do that before you are mandated to compliment me. The reason why I fit in this shirt now is because I lost 17 pounds in 28 days with MetTrim MD. They're right in Palm Beach Gardens, MetTrim MD. They deliver results, and they deliver them fast for those that want to lose weight. Because when you lose weight fast, you stay motivated, so you keep on losing weight. It all works as MetTrim MD wants it to. They provide the food. They provide the supplements. You can do the injection, GLP-1 injection, if you want to, or you don't have to if you don't want to. I didn't do the injection. I still lost 17 pounds in 28 days. I referred my longtime college friend. I brought her to MetTrim MD. They treated her like family, and she's lost 7 pounds in just a week. Yeah, 7 pounds in just a week with MetTrim MD. It's catching on. It's getting busy there at MetTrim. It's all protein-packed, so you lose fat, not muscle. I didn't lose a yard of my drive after losing 17 pounds in 28 days, all thanks to MetTrim MD. M-E-T, the word trim, MD.com to get your free, no-obligation consultation.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks, Christian.
We apologize formally.
You don't hate me more than Colin right now, though.
No, it's equal.
Oh, it's equal.
It is just, you guys are fighting for number one. You're both treating me like number two.
Let's get to the phone lines. 888-760-3776. Richard and Delray on Russo and Rizzo. Richard, what's on your mind?
So I was just calling because earlier you guys were talking about some of the most difficult sports to train for.
That's right.
You were talking about how
to go pro in, yes.
Because you got to tread water the whole time. And I just want to talk to you about how tennis, specifically, there's no time limit in it. So when you train, you got to train like it's endless. So one point could last like a 40-ball rally, for instance. That's like doing like 20 suicides. So you got to train specifically to be able to handle that. So the endurance factor, I'm not saying that water polo people don't have extreme endurance. They got to. They're treading water the whole time. But they got like 8-minute quarters. A tennis game could last 20 minutes.
And it's one thing
you got like 4 points there.
And one thing I'm thinking about is that John Isner, what was it, Nick Mahut Wimbledon match where it went for 8 hours.
It went for 3 days.
Yeah, right. And they couldn't finish it because they lost daylight, and they had to keep doing it. But it lasted like 8-something hours, 59 games in the tiebreaker.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the exact hour count is, but you're exactly right. I mean, you have no idea how long the match is actually going to last. So it's not like you can be like, all right, let's run suicides for 8 minutes each, and then we'll go from there. You got to just keep on doing this. And, yeah. So as far as talking about the difficulty of sports goes, I just think that tennis requires a certain level of endurance that doesn't necessarily get reflected in sports with time limits on it.
Appreciate the call, Richard. I completely agree. I think Richard hit it right in the head. No time limit, similarly to baseball. You have to beat your opponent in order to win, and it's a one-on-one sport on top of that. Start your day off with a win. Start your day off with a bang. Go over to F45 downtown West Palm Beach, locations in Wellington as well. F45 is great. It's more the functional side of working out. So if you're just interested in getting the heart rate up, getting sort of a sweat in first thing in the morning or even in the afternoon, F45, go in. They got 2 coaches on site. You see every workout on the screen in front of you. You could just turn your brain off. 45 minutes later, all of a sudden, you had a great workout in. That's how easy F45 is. Go check out F45 online to find a studio near you. $30 for your first 3 classes over at F45 downtown West Palm Beach and Wellington locations. Or if you're into high rocks, you want to train for something specific like that, F45 does tailor-made workouts for races like high rocks as well. F45 West Palm Beach. Check them out on Instagram. F45 downtown West Palm. All right. So one thing I was thinking about, we did a lot of basketball today in terms of Kobe and where they rank amongst the greats, and it started with Durant. And I want to bring in Chad again, our esteemed guest who's joining us on Russo and Rizzo. Chad, you're a Luka Doncic fan. And now we're on the topic of basketball. You're a Luka fan as an individual, which is what NBA fans do nowadays. He gets traded 2 weeks ago in the middle of the night. Nobody knew who was coming. Nobody knew where he was going. All of a sudden gets shipped off to the Lakers. How does somebody like you, the NBA fan who doesn't necessarily have an allegiance to a team but to a player, how do you react to something like that?
I was shocked. I mean, like everyone was.
Positively or negatively?
Not negatively. No, I was happy for Luka. He's such a young star, you never see it like this. They never trade a player at 25, 26 years old like that. So it was unprecedented. But for him, I'm happy. I mean, this is certainly going to give him a chance to be with LeBron, one of the greatest of all time, takes care of his body, knows how to do it probably better than anybody.
And it seemed like that was a problem with Luka, too.
That's the word on the street. Who knows for sure?
Maybe saving face.
The extent of that, who knows? I'm not going to speculate, but there's no question he's one of the most gifted scorers in the NBA. If he can play a little defense and keep his fitness up, he'll win at least 1 or 2 championships.
To that point, a guy that could whip you into shape is LeBron James, man.
Exactly. If you're going to learn, you're going to learn from the best.
Right.
I mean, he's been taking care of his body. The man is 41 years old.
Yep.
He's still doing it at a very high level. There's probably no better example of who can teach you how to do it than LeBron.
Absolutely. And all right, so now you're happy now because Lakers primetime NBA games, they're going to be in the limelight a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And you thought it was a good thing that he is now shifted to the Los Angeles Lakers, and he's now going to be a Laker probably for the foreseeable future.
Big picture, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for the league. It's a good thing for the Lakers. Look, if you're a Lakers hater or you're a Celtics fan, I get it. Or a Mavs fan, of course. The Mavs were gutted. But all in all, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a positive.
Were you a fan of Luka before he got drafted? Or did he become a fan when he got into the league?
No, it's when he got into the league. I really didn't follow him or know much about him coming into the league.
He was Real Madrid, I believe. He was playing in Spain.
Spain somewhere, yeah. Yep. I'm not sure which team, but yeah, he was in Spain.
It was Real.
He was an all-star level player in that league in his teens.
Yeah.
I mean.
And he comes in, wins Rookie of the Year, and then 6 All-NBA teams in a row. So talk about a star-studded career. In terms of the trade, that's interesting, though. Have you always been a player fan, not a team fan? Because that's how NBA fans, I think, have shifted because it has turned into the star-branded era of basketball comparatively to it's not your local fan base anymore. NBA has shifted national.
Well, you made me realize something. Being a Floridian, born and raised in South Florida, there was no Marlins when I was a kid. There was no Heat. There was no Panthers. There was no professional sports team other than the Dolphins.
It wasn't a huge sports city.
Right. I mean, that's why I'm a Braves fan. I watched spring training games with the Braves back in the 80s when I was a kid. When the Heat came around, I loved it. I was a Heat fan right away and loved going down to games at the old Miami Arena. But as far as, and the Marlins are the Marlins. Look, the Marlins have done this to themselves. That's why their fan base is turned on them.
They don't pay.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do what they've done repeatedly over and over and again where you just sell the talent, you reconstruct a team that is basically
cheap.
A AAA team.
Yeah, cheap.
And, I mean, but no, that's kind of, I guess, how I've evolved as a sports fan is because I didn't have allegiances when I was a little kid from having all the Florida sports teams down here that I was able to pick out my own and kind of just roll with it,
Was it college teams that dominated the scene when you were growing up in Florida?
No, it was Dolphins. Mostly Dolphins.
Everybody was just Dolphins.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan Marino, I'm assuming.
But the other sports.
Dan Marino, the Clayton, Clayton Duper, the Killer Bees.
Yeah. The Earl Morale teams.
That was the heyday of the Dolphins.
And at this point, growing up, you've been here for so long. In terms of South Florida, the West Palm area, Palm Beach County specifically, it's very much a melting pot of sports fandoms.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a good thing in your eyes that Florida is sort of characterized by its ability to not necessarily be – it's not like you're walking into Philly or Cleveland or, sometimes New York and everybody you see is a Yankee fan or everybody you see is an Eagle fan. It's different down here.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we were Vegas before what Vegas is doing now, right? Because Vegas never had any professional sports teams.
That's an interesting comparison.
But Vegas is a tourist destination like South Florida is, or like Florida as a whole. People want to come down here. There's lots to do. There's lots of great things. Yeah, no, I think that South Florida offers a chance for all sports fans to come down here and follow their team. And I mean, you can go to any sports bar around here. There's one for Boston teams, and there's one for the New York
fascinating.
Teams. Yeah.
There's now I'm from Cleveland. There's a Browns backer bar in Jupiter.
Yeah, whatever your team is,
that's where you would go to watch the Browns games on Sundays.
You'll find a spot. Whatever your team is, there's a spot for you down here.
Now, Chad, you said you're a Gator alum. Gator alum. Now,
yes.
We talked a little bit with you about Napier in the pre-show meeting. You're a Napier guy. You weren't one of those people that wanted to fire Billy Napier when things were going wrong early on in the year.
That's right. I wasn't calling for Napier's head last year. Look, at the beginning of the season, if you would have actually just looked at the schedule on paper, that was one of the most ridiculous schedules, hardest schedules you could ever imagine having. So the fact that they ended up having above 500, making a bowl game. I mean, they're ready to run them out of town after the first couple of games. But, okay, you start off against Miami. You have a really poor game. Miami runs you out of the building. That's okay.
And now are you as optimistic as other Gator fans for next year with DJ Lagway, who I think is going to take the next step? Everyone's saying that, though, which makes me a little bit worried. But are you drinking the Kool-Aid right now with the Gators?
Yeah, I am, actually. I am drinking.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. The one thing, as soon as the bowl game ended, that I said, please do not let Lagway go into the transfer portal.
Yeah, and I think Colin, I think that's a big reason why Napier stuck around was that they were able to keep him around.
Now, Florida, to you, are you just looking to get to a big bowl game at this point, or are all the eyes set on that college football playoff?
Oh, no, we want to make the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to.
You have to. With 12 teams.
Haven't seen it.
No. with 12 teams and hypothetically,
Everybody loves talking about making it until they
That's why
get
I said,
to
Colin,
it.
there's a lot of buzz. You're drinking the Kool-Aid, Chad.
Hey, this is the first year of the 12-team playoff, and chances are it's going to expand to probably 16 or possibly even greater. So that just has more opportunity for more schools. No, it's playoff or bust. I mean, for sure. I'm not thinking we're going to make the playoff this year.
You get out there for a game a year?
Yeah, every other year. We try to get up there about every other year.
I hope you weren't there for that Miami game.
No, I was no games this season. No.
Yeah. Well,
the only one I really wanted to try to make was the Texas game because we've never had Texas on our schedule. So I figured Austin would be a nice spot to go check out, but didn't get out there.
That's Chad, our super fan, joining us now within the program on Russo and Rizzo. Chad, we appreciate you giving us the time today.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. You saw a feisty one today. Go get started over on Hard Rock Bet. Go download it today on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet to get started now. Hard Rock's great because the Discover page is acclimated to both types of players. It's acclimated to the sophisticated player, and it's acclimated to the brand new player as well. Go in, bet as little as $1, tail other people's parlays. If you're not even sure what to put together in a parlay, you can see what other users built and put together and bet themselves, and you can just tail along, tag in just a few taps on the app. That's how easy it is. Or if you're the sophisticated player and you want to put together the most elaborate, sophisticated type of parlay you've ever seen in your entire life, that's what you could do as well on Hard Rock Bet. You got college hoops in the thick of it right now. You got the NBA getting more interesting with this trade deadline and the All-Star break coming up. You got plenty to get started on, especially with spring training coming up here in just a few weeks. Go get started now. Get up to $100 back in bonus bets if that first bet does not win. That first bet can be a parlay, prop, the over, whatever you like to bet in a game you choose. Win that first bet and get the same amount you bet back as a bonus bet. It's Hard Rock Bet, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager. Terms and conditions apply. Considered by gambling. Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. That's Chad. That's Mike. That's Christian. Colin Russo with you, sending you off on a Wednesday edition of Russo and Rizzo. Back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 106.3.